Hello and welcome to this Eyes of Harmony podcast, Doctor Who podcast. Every week we talk about, well, we're trying to do it weekly. Every week we talk about classic New Who, stuff that's coming out, new news, not really old news,
or whatever, anything else.
anything that's happening in the Doctor Who universe. And feel free to, comment below what you think about stuff that we talk about, and if you want to jump to kind of different topics, there's like jump points in the description below. So, if something doesn't interest you as much, you can jump to things that do interest you. And, make sure to like and subscribe and all those little, YouTube algorithm tidbits, whatever every freaking YouTuber says,
like. Go to my Just Fans account.
Yeah. Yes, my OnlyFans. Be our patrons. And not that we have a patron page. You can get pictures of Conrad. Just for £2.50, you get a whole array. Okay, well, big news of this week, which was so out of nowhere. Time Lord Victorious. Bum bum bum.
I don't even know much about it, really.
So little, but the artwork's fucking sick. That's all I'm gonna say. Like David Tennant in that Gallifreyan outfit. My compliments to the chef of the artwork, because it's fucking fantastic. Looks gorgeous, which is why it's in the thumbnail.
It's interesting because the whole Time Lord Victorious bit of the Wars on Mars is like one of the most chilling and more memorable parts of
one of the best parts of New Who, even though it was like one episode.
Yeah.
It's why Waters of Mars is like notoriously one of the best of all time.
So it's interesting to think about how they would expand on that and how the 8th and 9th Doctors would tie into that as well.
Well, it's very it's nice because it's like they're considering the 8th Doctor part of New Who. Like, it's kind of a New Who thing, isn't it? And it's quite nice that
it's kind of that midpoint, right? Because it's like when they release the DVDs, it's a classic DVD, right? That they got the 8th Doctor in, but yeah. I mean, but he's also tied to the Time War now and had been a part, So it's kind of both.
It was nice. Ever since Night of the Doctor, he's definitely got a lot more love. And it's cool because they got loads of photography stills of him in his new costume. Because when you do that, like practices is you get your characters and you do, little photo shoots with them just so you have that kind of content. And it's nice because now we got all this artwork with him in his more like Time War kind of outfit. But it's interesting because it's not quite the Time War, is it? It's like a different.
Yeah.
And what's interesting?
Is this like an alternate? Like that's what I'm thinking. Is this like an alternate universe, or is this?
I don't think it's an alternate universe. I just think it's a completely different, event. So for those who have missed this, BBC Studios. I'm just going to read the little kind of press release. BBC Studios is pleased to announce that Doctor Who will be the focus of a multi-platform storytelling launching later this year. Time Lord Victorious will see partners including Penguin Random House, Doctor Who Magazine, Titan Comics, Escape Hunt, Big Finish Productions, Eagle Moss Hero Collector, Immersive Everywhere, Maze Theory, BBC Books, and BBC Audio unite to tell a brand new Doctor Who story. Like that's a big crossover, isn't it?
It's interesting because, because you have books and comics, and you have
audio,
collectible merchandise, audio, and games. Because Immersive Everywhere, Maze Theory. I think Maze Theory are the ones who did the VR Doctor Who games to come out recently.
Cool. Okay.
And I think Immersive Everywhere didn't even have a website or something, but I don't know where that's going, but it's like all these different mediums for this
what's crazy it's not even like it's a point of New Who which is old now, like 15 years ago, and yet they're going back and celebrating it.
You would have thought, if they're going to be doing like this big thing, they would have been doing it to advertise the latest Doctor and the latest stories, but they're doing this big push for the old Doctors, so it's like
It's so strange.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
So yeah, the rest of the press releases. Time Lord Victorious will launch later this year with products and experiences scheduled to launch over a 12-week period. Time Lord Victorious will tell a new and untold story set within the dark times at the start of the universe, even when the Eternals were young. Following several Doctors across space and time as they defend their home planet, not really that it's their home anymore, from a terrible race. This is a story like no other. The story will feature the 8th, 9th, and 10th Doctors, companion Rose Tyler, and monsters including the Daleks and the Ood, with more to be revealed over the coming months as products are announced. So, very, very cool. And, I mean, a couple of weird things. After just destroying Gallifrey, now you're doing a whole 12 release thing about saving Gallifrey. And it's like, is there any point? You might as well just kill it now. You know, it's like, to me, it's a really odd thing to follow. Literally, in the last episode of Doctor Who, Gallifrey was destroyed. Literally, that is it. Like, if the show finished now forever, that's how Doctor Who ends. The destruction of Gallifrey. That's it.
Yeah.
And now it's like, hey, do you want to take part in this 12-week awesomeness about saving Gallifrey? And it's like, seems a bit pointless. Nothing against. I'm sure the people who are making it, you know, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of great, fantastic things to come out of this, and I'm very glad that they're going back and doing this, you know, and showing love to an era of Doctor Who, which is definitely probably one of the strongest in existence.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting. It's so strange to me that they'll do this, very out of nowhere. I guess this must be to celebrate 15 years then.
Maybe.
Surely.
I guess just, you know, with the 9th and 10th Doctors being there, but then you would have thought, well, if they're celebrating you would have had like the 11th or something as well. But
well, it seems like they're just doing the Russell T era, I guess, because like 8 is still somewhat like loosely part of that, because he was like Time War, which was the Time War was Russell T's creation.
Yeah.
And I guess when Russell T did write about the Time War, he imagined the 8th Doctor fighting in that one. Because obviously he didn't think of
saw by his
story, his little regeneration, the alternative universe where there was no War Doctor. It's interesting that they're choosing the 9th. Is Christopher Eccleston going to make a return in any audio form? Highly doubt it.
It'd be cool, but yeah, I imagine that the 9th Doctor's contribution to it will probably mostly be thank you. Will mostly be for the books, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think books, comics.
Unless somehow they like get someone else to do it, but I don't know.
I don't know how I'd feel about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've done it for, of course, the Doctors that aren't with us, so...
And that's when I think it's...
so much of a stretch, I guess.
I don't know.
Because they do it in other things, right? They, you know... So, like, I was watching the Star Wars Clone Wars TV series, and, like, none of the original actors are in that. Like, it's all, like... for the sake of doing that extra universe things that the big actors wouldn't necessarily... do.
My thing is,
so I don't see that as so much of a stretch, but
I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, Billie Piper's clearly back, I guess, to do some voice acting.
Well, she already had, like, she was doing Big Finish, like,
yeah.
She did like series 2 of the 10th Doctor adventures for Big Finish, as well as I think they even gave her own like series, I believe.
It's cool. It's strange how, I mean, she was in something recently which was about an actress who was in some cult thing and now she can't get out of it. Which is like, is she talking about Doctor Who? Like, but I think clearly it was, she more took inspiration from that, but it wasn't her, like, I'm not sure if she wrote it or she just starred in it, but it's clearly like she took inspiration, but I think she's clearly very happy to still do stuff.
Yeah.
Or she wouldn't be doing stuff, you know. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. None of the 9th and 8th Doctor better not meet the Ood, because the 10th Doctor didn't know what the Ood were when he met them in the Impossible Planet.
Unless they had their minds wiped somehow.
Yeah, they forget, because for some reason the Ood are so important. I guess it depends if it's a multi-Doctor story or if it's just doctors doing their separate stuff?
I imagine, from the sounds of it, probably mostly separate things, but maybe there'll be crossovers there.
Yeah. See, this is the kind of shit that I kind of wanted, though. This kind of expanded universe, this kind of stuff.
Perhaps if they're smart, they'll have it build up to a multi-doctor thing. Like all of these like things come together, and the very last one is like all three of them.
That would be sick. That would be a very good idea. That would be good. I think it'll be interesting to see, because what happens if you can't get one of the mediums, like you don't have a VR set to be able to play it. What happens then? Do you miss a big integral part of a story? Like, it'll be interesting to see how they lay it out and how they do it. But I mean, like, fucking hell, with the artwork being that beautiful, I would definitely buy. It would be cool if they did like a little box set thing, like with all the content.
Yeah,
I would definitely get that.
I mean, considering how many different companies are involved, I think, well, that'd be very, very expensive, probably, I'd imagine. Like, just having, like, all these companies get their fair share of the profits, and it could get quite expensive. I mean, just looking at the artwork, like, we have multiple different versions of the Daleks in there. So we have, like, an original 1963 one there, and then we have, like, a new series one, but coloured with, like, red and silvers.
Yeah, I like that design. It's nice.
Yeah. Kind of makes me think of something like in the movie or something.
Yeah, maybe it is that era with the weird talking Daleks.
And behind that also looks like a new series Dalek in the colour scheme, the 1963 Dalek. So it's sort of like, what's pulled to the front to?
In the
purple.
Yeah. Yes, it does actually. Yeah. I'm not sure what those spaceships are. Whose those are exactly on the Ninth Doctor's side. It'd be interesting if maybe we finally see what the Nightmare Child is. But I mean, clearly this isn't the Time War; it's a new threat, isn't it?
Well, it says they're fighting a whole new Time War.
Yeah, which is interesting.
So what that means, who knows?
Not gonna lie, I feel like this would have had big, like, effects on the new Who universe in the TV show. Like, don't you think like it's such a big like moment that it would have a big effect?
Yeah, although I guess it depends on how they go about it, right?
I guess if they all forget about it, but
yeah, exactly. Like what happened at the end of the Doctor.
Yeah.
So.
But the thing is, it's the last Doctor remembers. So the 11th. Wait, shouldn't the 11th Doctor have forgotten about Gallifrey? Because then he came across his future self as Tom Baker. So it shouldn't, because isn't it basically the rule that it's the final Doctor in the timeline, he gets to retain the memories, but all the ones before him don't?
Well, in that case, maybe it was, but I mean, other cases they've kept their memories at the end of it.
Have they?
I think. Well, yeah, because kind of. I mean, the 10th Doctor remember the 5th Doctor doing the stuff in Time Crash.
I think that's only...
And then the 2nd Doctor remember the 3rd Doctor and the 5 Doctors after the 3 Doctors.
That's true. Oh, it's strange. But then surely the 10th Doctor then would have known that he'd remember that he stopped the time. Well, Jesus.
Well, I think that was because of it being
such a big event.
If they kept their memories, that would have changed the entirety of the future.
Yeah. Strange. Good old Doctor Who just itself out the corner with no logic at all. There's no continuity. Who cares anymore? Just get rid of it. But yeah, I'm interested to see what comes out. I do not have enough money to get all of it. Most of my money is going into my grad project film at the minute, so I'm not sure how much I'll be able to get, but I'd love to at least kind of follow with what's going on for this Time Lord Victorious. And hopefully, the fan base supports it, because it's like, if it's stuff like this where they try new stuff, if it gets enough support, I just miss the days where you'd walk into Woolworths, RIP.
I miss walking into Woolworths just in general.
But there'd be a whole freaking stand for Doctor Who, and they'd sell classic DVDs and Woolworths and New Who DVDs. They had like it was
still
cool.
sort of get that in like HMVs and such.
Well, yeah, there's that, but I mean like products like so Woolworths, what was another toy company? I mean even Hamleys had it, but they had like sections just dedicated to Doctor Who, and it's like you could buy like at the moment their release of like toys and stuff is so weirdly late. Like recently, the new series was good. That every week that episode came out, there was a coinciding shirt at Forbidden Planet, which was quite cool. So like when Paraxis came out, there was like one with all the birds kind of around the TARDIS. Like that episode couldn't have aired if a series had aired later and it was airing right now. They would have had to have pulled Paraxis.
Yeah.
Because it's all about viruses and spreading. Like, it just would have been too insensitive. Yeah. They would have just got rid of it from the series. Yeah. Well,
I don't know if I would have called it insensitive. I mean,
I think it would have been risky. It would have been a risky move, especially remember when they got rid of the whole like the sheriff of
the heading. Yeah. That was because of ISIS. But I don't know if they would in this case though, because
maybe they'd have like that was warning before
in Robots of Sherwood. It was treated kind of as a joke.
Yeah,
and happened to coincide with the ISIS beheading.
Reporter, yeah.
In this case, it wasn't. It was treated with sincerity. So I don't see why there would be a problem. Just having parallels to the current issues, I don't think would necessarily justify it being pulled. It's just that Robots of Sherwood's case, it was, could be seen as insensitive because of the actual writing. I don't think there was anything in parallel would mean, it's insensitive, we have to pull this,
Yeah. It's a shame because I think Robots of Sherwood would have been good with that like part in it. Like it made sense. I've seen like the actual. It's a shame. It made a lot more sense that he was a robot as well. But yeah. I don't know, but yeah, I feel like recently, like they've just been more concentrating on comics and stuff, and it's nice that they're pushing stuff again, even video games, as our conversation was a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Should Doctor have video games?
We didn't even really talk about the VR games, mainly because
we haven't played it.
Neither of us have really any experience with it. I mean, it was like 1 15-minute more demo, and then they released like a proper game recently. But of course, neither of us have VR sets, and I don't think either of us ever plan to get any of them anytime soon. So it's like we don't really have a lot to say on that front. And
I've watched people play it, and it looks all right, but it looks solid. But it's obviously just a lot of grabbing and picking up and then moving.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's somewhat cool. But the issue is obviously it looks very kind of a bit cartoonish, which kind of takes away the whole. I don't know.
I mean, it's fine to have an art style,
I guess, yeah.
Like, you go for something too realistic and like.
I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, I'm not really a fan of Doctor Who video games anyway. I don't know. It's like mainly the audios I'll probably look into getting for this time not Victorious, and maybe one or two of the comics, depending what it is. But it's cool. It looks good, and I'm happy that they're doing it. But I wonder, like talking about like upcoming content being released, I wonder when they're going to release the Dalek, what was it?
Revolution?
Is it Revolution? Yeah, it's Revolution. There's too many R's. Too many. It's getting too much.
It's you getting caught up on it.
I used to have it down. I had it, Resurrection, Revelation. Fine. Then they had Resolution. And now Revolution. It's those two are too close. Revolution, Resolution. It's just too close for me. But I wonder when they're going to play that. Because New Year's Day figures are, going down every year. As we've seen, like people are just watching less TV on New Year's Day, and Christmas Day is still the fucking hotspot. So I wonder do you think it'll be Christmas this year? They'll do it.
Logically, it should be, but
they're not very logical.
Yeah, I it probably will still be on New Year's, just because it seems like that's what they're really desperate just to keep it there for whatever reason.
I got it this year because they were trying to lead straight into a series. I got that. But like at this point, it's like, is there any point even releasing it if it's not going to be pointing to the next series? Because I think they will show it in New Year. I tell you why. Oh, but they didn't show any Daleks this year, actually. And if the contract's right, they have to show one Dalek a year, don't they?
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah.
So they'll have to show it this year. No, but actually no, because then when she regenerated, there was no Dalek that year, was there? Her first series, there wasn't a Dalek that year because Resolution came out on the first.
Resolution counts, kind of, because it was New Year's Day, like New Year's, it kind of.
I wonder if they're loose on that.
Maybe a bit, yeah, but they have to appear somewhere in the year.
Interesting. Yeah, because like you need it to point towards the new series. That's the point. Like, that's when it's useful.
Yeah. Not going to be seeing any of that for a while anyway.
Yeah,
so.
I mean it's already delayed because of all this. Though, really, as I've been saying, you know, really they should be in the writing stages now and early pre-production anyway, which you can do all that from home. If they're literally sitting about not doing anything, that's disgraceful, really. Like. You could do so much from home, paperwork and all that. It's, you know, you can pre-book stuff. Maybe not. You don't want to put anything down, but you could find a location online and be like, okay, we're going to try and book this place for then, and this. Get everything prepared so that when things go, okay, you can make stuff again. They can get straight on it.
Just go, yeah.
So I mean, if they should really be filming by, let's say they start filming September. They should be able to hit the ground running, you know.
Yeah.
Block after block after block. Break for Christmas. Shoot. Finish in probably March. Yeah, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Yeah, 7 months. Yeah, that's about fair. Then edit away. They could have that out November? October, November? Yeah. Like, because you edit while you go as well. Because once you do episode 1, once you've got those first 3 episodes done, that's like 3 extra weeks of working on an edit and, you know, all that. Then, you know, you can, like, I'm pretty sure that Parting of the Ways and Bad Wolf wasn't even edited yet by the time, like, Rose went on air or something. Some weird fact like that. Like, they were still, like, barely finished editing the whole series because a whole week's work, you know. And you have multiple editors working on stuff at once, so, you know. It's fine. So yeah, so my guess is new series October 2021. That's my guess.
Seems like a fair guess, yeah.
And then either Revolution of the Daleks being either Christmas this year, but probably again 1st of January 2021. I think that's it for Doctor Who this year of new content. Well, new content chronologically. Because obviously there's all the extra content. And we got a new one this week, Sven and the Scarf. Did you watch it?
Oh, yeah, I did, yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. That there was one continuity error. But which was the Megalos.
I thought that. Megalos, Scarf.
Wrong Scarf, Megalos. I was like, that shouldn't be there. But I very much enjoyed it. I love a bubble wrap. Like, some alien skin or bubble wrap. 2 bits of wire. I don't know how both bits of a wire ended up in his scarf, but it was a nice little thing. Apparently that's going to be in the...
well, the character is.
The character's going to be
the novelization.
In the novelization, which is very cool. I thought it was a lovely little piece and very, very nicely well written.
Well, whenever the novel happened, it's like it's felt like I've had that novel on pre-order for like ages.
Yeah, when is it? Have they said when it's coming out, or they just announced?
Hang on, there might be a thing on. Just have a look. When am I expecting it on Amazon?
But yeah, I thought it was really nice, and actually, it was nice that there was a video with it. Like that was very cool.
Yeah. You don't always.
Yeah, well, it's nice, and it's like it was cool that you know it's cool that they're still doing
23rd of July.
23rd of July. Okay.
23rd of July.
Not that long then.
Oh, yeah.
Have they released the cover for it? What it looks like yet? Or...
No, it's just at the minute it's literally just the word Dalek. That's it.
Dalek.
They've also got the TV movie The Witchfinders and the Crimson Horror coming as well.
Also, Resurrection of the Daleks and Revelation of the Daleks. And Pirate Planet. Very cool.
Yeah, because they were. Yeah, it's cool because, of course, like the original Target series covered practically the entire classic series except for like those and like City of Death, and that's already been done. And of course, Sharda, which also got done. So
very nice.
Like they're filling in all those gaps that the original, releases never.
It's nice that they do that.
Yeah,
it's good. See, and it's funny. Before we started the podcast, we were talking about Star Wars, and it's like at least with Doctor Who, they clearly understand the fandom in some like the people making content like that, Big Finish and Target novelists. They all completely get the fan base and what people want. They're like, oh, the collection's not complete. Of course, they're gonna want to complete their collection. Like it's so obvious that
I think like even though like the smallest thing, like like the DVD covers still have like the classic DVD cover as an alternate option, like stuff like that. Like other series, like you buy a new Star Wars DVD and it's like you're not gonna have like consistency with old DVDs, right?
I remember I made the episode 7 one for you that looked like the one from, because they did it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, didn't they?
Well, I wanted consistency because like there was like from the 2003 or 2004 they released like this line of like the original Star Wars, but like with like the covers that they started doing with the original with the prequels. So like they had the Phantom Menace in a certain style on DVD, and then they carried that on for years throughout the DVD releases. And I quite like the kind of styles that they had for that. So like
they were nice. I really like them. But yeah, it's nice that at least like while new writers might be going in directions which not all of us agree in, like at least I'm very happy to be part of a fandom where like they clearly do care and they fill in gaps which we want to know. Like when Moffat did Night of the Doctor, he knew we wanted to see all the regenerations on screen. Like he knew that was important to us, and we got it. And that's something you have to really appreciate and applaud that they realize and they know and that they do take note of what to do for fans. However, you see, I'm taking a little turn into our next bit. Power of a Dalek special edition. What the actual fuck? Like, that's just how I want to start it. What the actual fuck? Why?
Like,
why? Ridiculous.
It wasn't.
The fact that they're like, oh, improved animation. I'm like, if it wasn't good enough, delay the release. Like,
I mean,
why waste time on that? Why waste time?
I mean, I get it originally, right? Because the budgets, I imagine, for the original release of Power of the Daleks was probably relatively low. And like, you look at like the latest like releases, like with the Faceless ones, and there is a marked improvement since Power of the Daleks. But it's like it kind of seems redundant. Like we would much rather, we moved forward rather than
exactly. So for those who aren't as familiar with the DVD releases back in 2016, fucking hell, 4 years ago, Power of the Daleks was released as a complete animation, so remade. With animation, none of the episodes that existed, and we were super excited. Pre-ordered it. I got it early, which was very cool. It was super great. I thought it was fine. Yes, while the animation's a bit 2D.
And like there's a few awkward moments with it. Like the beginning of the first episode, like the animation doesn't convey, I think, what they were trying to do with it properly enough. But you can fill in the blanks in your mind. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, I never felt coming out of it like, oh boy, I wish I could see an even better version of this.
No.
Like that never crossed my mind.
Like there are other episodes that deserve that more, specifically the Underwater Menace, I think, in particular.
Yeah.
At least that living special edition.
Yeah. Underwater Menace special edition. Thank you. But like, yeah, so what does this new one? You ask me. You cry out. Why? Why? And I'll tell you why. Because all the little extras. So we got 2 new documentaries about Power of the Daleks. We got a 1993 BBC audio version of Power of the Daleks narrated by Tom Baker. So,
oh yeah, the cassette version.
So if you don't want to watch, the DVD, you can just listen to it instead.
I mean, it's nice that that's being archived because, like, of course, cassettes
are dead, basically.
They you get one of those cassettes today, and it's like it probably sounds really garbled and bad.
What else? Yeah, it would. We got raw incidental music. We've got photogrammetry featurette. We've got Wicker's World. I don't like my monsters to have ophidius complexes. That sounds actually kind of interesting. What the hell is that? That's tantalizing. Okay. Daleks, the Early Years, a 1992 documentary presented by Peter Davison. Oh, that's going to be inglorious 4x3. Robin Hood, 1953 episode.
Oh, yeah.
Patrick Troughton's earliest surviving TV appearance. That's cool. That is somewhat like that would be interesting to see. Okay, BBC archive footage from BBC Regional News, BBC Breakfast, Blue Peter, and Newsnight. Previously unreleased animation trailers and animatics, and Easter eggs. And old favourites, including audio commentaries by Annika Wills on each episode, animation test footage, photo gallery, including previously unreleased and rediscovered full-colour on-set photos from 1966, Servants and Masters, making of the Power of the Daleks. Oh, Doctor Who The Highlanders.
Yeah, that's the most vague thing. Like, I noticed that. It's just there. It's like, they don't really... Like, what does that mean?
Is that a tease of what's coming?
Maybe.
Now I have to pre-order this. Oh, no. Oh, where do I even pre-order it to, man? Because this is 6th of July. I don't know if I got an extension on this place yet.
Oh, how the tables turn.
Now it's like, do I get it at home or do...
Oh, this is the dumbest idea. Where do I pre-order it?
I mean, to be fair, the artwork I like a lot more than... That was one thing I was always a bit disappointed by. If you grab it.
Yeah, I mean, this one...
I don't really dig it. Like, it looks a bit weird. Slightly.
It does. Like, yeah, and to be fair, actually, part of that is the actual... Like, Polly looks really strange.
Yeah, I like the new one a lot more with the lightning and the...
Yeah, I'll probably still have it on display because,
Yeah, of course.
But...
I don't know. I feel like when they do these animated ones, it would be kind of nice if they just used, like, the normal actors. Like, it's like in Big Finish, they don't use cartoon versions. So... I don't know specifically. It's kind of like the Faceless ones, they did the animation. However, 2 episodes still exist. So I'd prefer if they just used the real, like the rest of the DVDs.
Yeah, like even a lot of the other ones.
Like the Moonbase used real,
Yeah, the Moonbase used real, Reign of Terror,
the
Ice Warriors, Invasion, all of them. The actual covers were.
And I'd prefer that, like... It just so it fits in that slight bit more,
Well, yeah, the intention isn't, for this cover. I don't think it's for the, to make the other, like the full, like cover look nicer. I think rather instead.
Yeah,
so like the whole like. Full,
oh yes,
like,
yes,
rather than
the full page one.
That's what they're designing it for, not actually to fit in
the classic.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Plus, people might get like a false impression of what something is if it's mostly animated.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting though. The Highlanders. Oh.
Yeah. Again, does that mean that's next or what?
It would be cool if it is, because
I'd be happy with that. Because
like complete that first series or at least that block. Because then we got 10th Planet, Power, Highlanders, Underwater Menace. What was next? It was the Macro Terror? No, it wasn't. Fuck me. Completely spaced. No. Can you remember? It is. I know it's like the Faceless Ones is the second to last because then it's followed by Evil.
It's the Moonbase, I think.
Yeah, that's it. Moonbase, that was it.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I said that's. I don't know if they picked me up, but I said that. Like,
oh no, I think it was a missed out, cut out. Yeah, it was Highlanders, Underwater Menace. It was Underwater Menace. Yeah, Moonbase, Macro Terror. Yeah, I was just spacing on the name Moonbase. I knew it was in there.
Yeah, that would be
It'd be cool because we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row then on DVD. From his first series.
And then we just need Evil of the Daleks.
And then we've got all his first season. And I mean, like, they might as well save Evil.
Evil of the Daleks.
Yeah, because they might as well save Evil because
they've really homed on this first series, like, over everything else. Like, we've had the odd thing, like, elsewhere, but, like, in particular, they've really focused on Patrick Troughton's first series, yeah. Which is interesting. And we know we're getting, like, Fury of the Deep and such, so, but...
Yeah, I hope it's.
We haven't even had a Hartnell yet. Like,
I feel like he's being a bit.
Or Tom Baker.
I'm feeling he's a bit. Yeah, we even had Tom Baker. I feel like Hartnell's being a bit shat on at the minute. I'm like, come on, he's got the Celestial Toymaker. Like that one would do so well.
They're just going to turn around and go, aha, this whole time we've been working on a very long recreation of the Daleks master plan.
To be fair, I wouldn't be surprised. Especially, oh no, they'll save that for the 60th. They'll save. My money's that they'll definitely do a new animation of a Dalek story, whether it's Evil or whether it's Master Plan, but that will come out during the 60th year, for sure. In November, it will come out.
That'd be very
Lead up. That's my bet.
That'd be very ambitious, but I think they can do it. I mean, they've done 6 episodes. I don't see
Yeah, I mean, so how many exist? 3 from Master Plan?
Yeah.
They'd probably do Mission to the Unknown at the same time, or take the one which those other people made and.
They probably reanimate it. I think if they're gonna reanimate the 2 episodes already existing for the Faceless Ones, they're gonna reanimate.
Yeah, weirdest choices, but.
But at least you had the option to do either or.
Yeah, that was nice.
I can kind of see why they did it now. Yeah, as I said, it's just for some people they might want that consistency and not to jump back and forth between. But it wasn't a problem that they redid it for me. It was more that if we're not going to get the option to jump back and forth like we could with the other ones, then we're going to have a problem. I didn't advertise that you could, but you can.
Which is nice.
So there's no problem.
I mean, Dalek Master Plan would be bloody sick because 3 really exist. So that brings it down to 9 episodes. So
although, again, they might still redo those anyway, knowing them.
Yeah, probably. But that would be my bet. Dalek's Master Plan for the 60th anniversary. It's got to be. That would be the smartest choice, wouldn't it? Because Dalek Mania will be back in the air, kind of thing,
Possibly, yeah.
I feel. That's my money. That's where I'm putting the money. It's in. Locked in. My entire earnings for the rest of my life. Betting against myself, so I don't lose any. But yeah, that's my bet. That's what I'm thinking. That would be the wisest, for sure. Because like DVD, they released so many animations in 2013, didn't they? Anyway, they did the Ice Warriors.
Well, because they had more. They had 3 different studios working on them or something, and they had one studio do 2. So they had
There was Ice Warriors, Reign of Terror, Moonbase. Moonbase came out slightly after the 50th. 10th Planet, yeah. I know Moonbase came in 2014 February. I just weirdly remember that, I think. I know it was after the 50th, but it was still in that kind of bubble.
They all worked.
The loose bubble. So they did so many in a very short space of time.
Like I said, they had multiple different studios working on things. That was why they were able to get them out so far. So they had the more realistic animated ones that they had for the 10th Planet and Reign of Terror, whereas they had more traditional ones for the other ones.
Yeah, I really love the Ice Warriors one. Actually, I like that kind of style that they did. It's a bit puppetry. I kind of liked it, but I'm a big fan of puppetry anyway. So, but. Yeah, it would that would be my no-brainer. Build up to master plan. But it would be wise for them to do then a first Doctor story before that, just so they have all the models ready. So if they did the Celestial Toymaker, they would have Steven, they would have the first Doctor ready. And the Toymaker's like the one of those classic ones that everyone kind of talks about. If they know the classic era and people say which ones would they want, I'm pretty sure Celestial Toymaker appears on a lot of lists of what people say they want to be animated. Just I don't know. It's just such a different idea, that one, and it would do well, I think.
Yeah,
it would sell a lot. Also, Galaxy 4 they should do at some point. It got a very nice. It got a really nice recreation. Our recreation on the Aztecs. Which I really love that recreation. Actually,
it was really well done. Yeah,
it was very well done. Like, it was like a nice hour, wasn't it? So we had 120. We had the first 7 minutes of episode 1. Then they kind of wrapped that up quickly. Did like some telesnaps for episode 2. Then showed episode 3 Airlock, wasn't it? Yeah. And then they showed. Then they did a quick wrap up episode 4 with like clips, and I thought it was incredibly good.
Yeah.
Great. And yeah, but then like now with animation, like.
They can finish it.
But I think Master Plan 60th. That would be the master plan. That would be the smartest thing, because they could start work on it kind of in the background now, and they'll have Dalek models from this new power update, so that would be easier to do. I get that there's a lot of characters. That's their biggest.
Yeah, lots of different locations, lots of different characters, so it's going to be difficult. Like, that was one I thought was possibly like in the lower end of lightningness, but it's a Dalek story. I mean, they're gonna do it eventually.
It would sell so much.
Yeah,
it would sell. It would be because they can market it so well, like the biggest Dalek story in history, or the longest, or the the biggest event before the Time War. It was. I would still argue that the Dalek Master Plan was the biggest kind of Doctor Who story, I guess, kind of universal element. Like, nothing ever really hit that kind of level of universal. Maybe the War Games was pretty big, actually. That's a grand story, but it's 10 episodes. Can it could be. That's the thing. That is the thing I love about the classic. I'd be interested if New Who would ever try the 25-minute format. How do you think it would fare?
I think for most modern audiences that'd probably be a bit too short, because I think viewing habits have changed, right? So the new series was done as it is, just to get people immersed for a certain period of time, so they can connect to the characters in that time frame. I don't know if audiences now are patient enough to have to build up to it over many weeks.
It would be interesting. I would love to, if I was in charge, try just one story. Like, just do a special. You know how they did like Waters of Mars? Just do a special month and just do one episode story with 25 minutes and see how it fared. Because, I mean, soap operas are still doing incredibly well on television. Like, Coronation Street still does incredibly well, and it's half an hour. But actually, when you take out the ads, it's only 22 minutes. Every episode's only about 22 minutes. And soaps still do incredibly well on TV, half an hour increments.
I guess.
And I'm wondering, would Doctor Who do better if it was on TV for more weeks of the year? Would that possibly help it, or would it, not help it as much? And maybe if you just did 2 separate stories, 2 4-parters, half an hour each, broken up, would you get a better story out of it? Because you're thinking like, okay, that's 2 hours then per story, but because it's broken up, and that's why I think classic stories sometimes had much bigger scope than any of the New Who stories, and classic stories never feel the ending. Sometimes it was, but usually the ending of classic stories was never overly rushed. Usually they'd have time to have all the goodbyes and everything, but now I always feel like either they spend so much time getting to know characters that they have to end really abruptly, or like then they have to solve a problem really quickly, so then they get the nice goodbyes. And I believe like that's the problem. If you had 225 minutes, you kind of give yourself an extra 10 minutes in there. Like, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how it works. Because imagine trying to tell the story of Caves of Androzani in just 45 minutes to an hour.
I think that one would probably have to be a two-parter regardless.
It would have to be. And do you know what the length of a two-parter is? In modern Who? The same length as a 4-part story in classic Who.
Classic, yeah.
You see, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, well, every story either has to be a two-parter. But then sometimes, like, Series 9, I felt it a bit groggy sometimes. I felt very like, ugh, this is like... I don't know. I was, by the time we'd finished the first 4 weeks, I was happy that we're getting just the kind of single story of the girl who died. And then the woman who lived. Like, they were very separate, and I quite like that. And I know that after, like, the first 2 weeks of... The first 4 weeks of just part 1, part 2, part 1, part 2, I felt a bit... I don't know.
Yes, I didn't hate it. I know, for some people it was, a bit much. But actually, I did feel like, like, I know it shouldn't have been, like, permanent fixture where they do that, like, every series or whatever. But actually, it did make me more, I guess, into, a setting,
Yeah.
I guess the best way to describe it.
It would be interesting if they tried it for one series, especially during like an anniversary year to celebrate Doctor Who. And if you were celebrating all time, you could be like, okay, we're going to do this and just do it slightly different. So, but because then Doctor Who could play throughout so much more of a year up to then the special, then you have a full on like hour and a half special. Boom. And you wouldn't even be like making a bigger series, because the point is because it's 4 parts and that's an hour and a half. But the thing is, you're using the same sets and locations, so it doesn't make it any more expensive. Ultimately, it probably makes it a whole lot cheaper than having to do, a different 45 minutes every single other place. Once you've got these sets, you've got these sets,
Yeah.
Maybe you're slightly shooting in them for longer, but to be honest, the money is probably actually the set design and stuff, So, because there's so many stories I think that could have been great as like a 2-parter. I think A Town Called Mercy, there could have been so much more. The whole gunslinger thing. Like, I really enjoyed that story. I feel there's so much more you could have done with that cowboy setting. I love that story, but I just feel like we weren't there just not long enough. Like, if we had an extra 25 minutes there, it would have been lovely, Just a three-parter, half an hour, hour and a half. Like, you could do that. There's no rule saying it has to be a 4-parter. You could easily do. And if you wanted a quick 45-minute story, you just do 2 half an hours and you got your thing. There you go.
I think the most noticeable example of that was Nightmare in Silver, though.
Yeah,
that really needed to be 2-parters.
And I think, to me, it would be nice during anniversary year. And you could sell it. You could completely sell it as to celebrate Doctor Who's history, we're going to try something slightly different with this series. And I think people would be way more on board with that, because you're doing it to celebrate the past. So people would be like, oh, that's nice. That's, nice and retro. That's quite nice and cool. And it's like a gimmick. And then if it goes down really well, because you could see online if people were like, oh, I don't like this, or like, wow, I actually love having Doctor Who for more of a year. You could be like, okay, well, because this went down really well, we're going to continue to use this trend in the next series, see how it copes with that, and then go that way. Because the thing is, it actually gives you more time to edit stuff as well, because you've got more weeks just doing half an hour. And then...
It's just, I guess the thing about it is that there's a bit of a trade-off with it, whereas the current format, you can get, like, a lot more different stories and locations, over, like, however many weeks. So in current series, like 10 weeks, like, you can get, like, a different location and different, like, characters most weeks. Whereas the thing about the classic series is that, of course, there were less, like, actual full, stories. Like, you'd get, like, 4 or 5 a series, but of course, they'd, like, all be longer. So that's the trade-off there, is that you get less variety, but like you said, there'd be like, it'd be on for longer, and like, yeah, they have longer to tell your story and like to.
I think it also gives you time then to really focus to get the best out of each story. Imagine if you had a 2-part of What Was a Mars. Like, I think it's perfect as it is as a 60. Don't get me wrong. Like, but those villains were sick, and I think there was a lot more you could do with the Flood. However, I hope they never touch them again because they were perfect, done, perfect, absolutely perfect. You could not perfect that story anymore. It's like there's nothing to change in that story. It's literally should have won awards that episode. Like, honestly, maybe it did. Who knows? But it deserves way more recognition than Blink. I'm sorry. Like, Water to Mars is the best. David Tennant story, in my opinion. It's too much. Just gushing, so good. But like that you could still like. I would have loved to see maybe an extra half an hour of them like in desperation and stuff. But you could like even if you were doing just that 30 half an hour each week, you could still just do a 2-part story. Like nothing makes you have to do, you know, full on 4 episodes, you know. But I mean, then you could have a 6-parter at the end, which would just be like leading into then the 60th anniversary, or the 70th anniversary, whatever anniversary you're at. But that would be really cool. You have a 6 weeks, and then boom, on the Saturday or whatever weekday it is, you do it on, you know, on the 23rd, and you lead up to it with a nice 6-parter. And then if people didn't like that on the DVDs, you could like release versions where it would have been the 45 minutes. You just combine 2 episodes together and just have, you know like how they did on the VHSs when they put all the stories together and made one long movie. You could do it that way, and then people would be like, "Oh, it flows so much better like this," and you could see it. But I think it would be a nice little gimmick. But it would be a gimmick which actually gives you a chance to really try something different.
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, side characters that stand out far more are the ones who always have more screen time, especially in like classic Who, because you could, and I always care more about side characters who died in classic Who, because you had time with them. Like the guy who like freaking the one which still haunts me to this day is the one in the Daleks, basically, where they're jumping across this gap. It's like the whole episode's in the cave, and it's dark and claustrophobic, and it's fantastic television. It's when they're jumping over the gap, and the guy falls down, and he cuts the rope and kills himself. And like, it was just so panicky. He didn't want to do the jump. He didn't want to do it, and then they made him do it, and he freaking died from it. He killed himself to save them. But like, he died a hero. But like, I remember that, you see. But I tell you what, there's a lot of characters in you who I couldn't even tell you. You know how they died, let alone like if I thought about it, probably, but like none stick out quite like some classic deaths do.
Yeah,
and I think it's a lot more hard hitting, and it's like why Waters of Mars being 60 minutes, it makes it a whole lot impactful. Like when Adelaide kills herself, it's that time. It's the time is important that you spend with these characters. And I think, it would be an interesting thing to try. Like, and it would be good during the 60th or 70th or whatever year, 75th anniversary. If you wanted to build it up to that and have Doctor Who start from like end of January, or I don't know, you could even do April, lead all the way into November, then have the big, because you'd save money shooting the like 70th as part of the series. But you do that as one big episode. Obviously, you wouldn't split that up.
Yeah.
But you have all this nice like build up, being like, we're going retro with this one. And then if it doesn't work out, then it didn't work out. But at least you would have had Doctor Who on every single, week leading up until the 50th. And it would be like this nice build up, and you could have like foreshadowing for the 70th within the series, So people are like, not big ones, because the issue is like with the last like series 12, which we just had. I think the issue is it was too like story arc focused. So say people who didn't watch episode 1 on New Year's Day, they come in episode 2 a week later. Oh, what the fuck's going on? There's the Master's back now. Oh, we have no idea what's going on. Switch off. Then if you missed Fugitive of the Judoon, you have no idea what's happening in the finale. Or if you missed the Mary Shelley one, and there's Jack warned us about this, and it's like you feel like you miss out too much. So I think if you're doing build up to like the 70th,
well, that's also partially for them to go back and go, oh, you can go and watch this on iPlayer. Although I would have thought that would have been even more of an issue though if we're spreading like individual episodes out over multiple weeks. Like if you miss like part 1 or part 2 of an episode, then you're lost.
I think in some ways yes, but if you had a little recap at the start of every episode, like the point of what Classic Who did was they always repeated like just the cliffhanger moment and then continued it on, which always helps because at least you feel like, okay, well at least I know what got them into this situation, like
I mean they do that sometimes with New Who a little bit.
Even the weird one at the beginning of last time on Doctor Who or something with the
that's why they do it.
It was weird, but yeah, those things I think it would be all right, especially because it's only half an hour. You could even have some of the episodes repeat the night before just to fill a half an hour gap. Be like Friday night Doctor Who repeat, and then on Saturday a new episode. It's because it's just half an hour, because a whole 45 minutes 50 minutes is a big time slot, but if you little half an hour slot, just be like, okay, you could probably do it on BBC Two, have it repeat, because I mean like Doctor Who used to repeat all the time on BBC Three. That used to be the big thing to kick off 7 p.m. Doctor Who repeat. Like you could do that. Even like the very first week, you could be like, okay, well, we're gonna do the first part, so you release the first episode, and then the next week you do episode 1 and 2. Like you could even play it smart like that and be like, in reference to An Unearthly Child, how they repeated part 1 before part 2 because of a Kennedy death. Because JFK got shot in the head, didn't he?
Yeah.
The same day of Unearthly Child, so barely anyone watched it. And then the next week they played episode 1 and 2 back to back. And you could be like, that's the reference, and you just do that. So if anyone missed the first episode, they could catch it again. And people would most likely watch episode 1 again anyway. Like just to go straight into episode 2. It's like I watched Infinity War in the cinema again before I watched Endgame. Like I did the double bill because I was like, might as well, because it gets you in the zone, because you're like, you feel all the emotions that you felt with the first episode, and then you carry those into episode 2. And that would be a nice little reference. You'd be like, oh yeah, to reference classic Doctor Who. Like you could even get away with that gimmick because people would believe it. Like it's a smart thing. It's not a dumb thing to do. And it's like, then you could even show, well, I mean there's BritBox now, but you could even like try and show some classic episodes, show all the anniversary specials like during the week or something. You could have like Mondays the classic throwback, so you have like all 4 parts of the 3 Doctors play consecutively, like really get Doctor Who back on the air, really push for it. And I think it would be interesting to try that. It would be something. But yeah. Well, would you think that would work? Do you think it would?
I don't know. It's impossible without actually trying it to know. I don't know if they'd ever risk it though. Really, because I mean, I think a lot of shows nowadays go for more long form and like less like what classic Doctor Who was trying to do, with like one story for multiple things. Most shows nowadays do just focus on that, like, this is our story. Maybe we'll have like multiple parts of it, but wherever you come in, this is this week's story. So it'd be a tough sell. As like a short-term anniversary thing, I think it would be fun. I don't know how successful it would be, and I can certainly see the merits to it. There were merits, definitely, to the old method of it, but there certainly were reasons why they decided to change it for the new series. So I don't know.
I think it would be a nice little retro thing. At least you could even release that would be another tie-in that you could do. You could release the new series stories with classic DVD covers. At the end of every story, you could release it straight away, so it's on the shelves with like the classic covers and like have.
Well, we're always wanting that, right? Even with like the new DVD release, we're like, man,
I would love if they did like, you know, series 1 part 1 with the classic, you know. Even the individual episodes, I'd fucking get them. No, I know I would. I know I would.
Horribly monetized. Oh goodness, I can pitch that now. That'd be so expensive.
Yeah, it would do so well though. Because they could add all the documentaries, all his, you know, Doctor Who Confidential, the whole 45-minute version, not the cut downs, and God, they'd do so well. And you could just release the best, kind of like what they're doing with the Target novels. They could do like Rose, Day of the Doctor, you know, see how those ones do with the classic cover, and then. But it would be a nice gimmick, wouldn't it? Like you have like, oh, we're celebrating the classic, so we're going to do the new Doctor with these sleeves. You'd see how they do. If they sold really well, you'd be like, fuck yeah, let's do all the rest of the catalog, you know.
My poor wallet.
But it would. I think it would do. That would be a really nice gimmick.
Okay, the only way I can see it actually, because I don't think they'd actually be able to get away with like releasing them individually like that. I could see them doing like a box set, or like half a series with like individual DVDs and like half. You know.
I don't know. They do it with the Christmas specials. They did the single stories all the time.
Yeah.
And because it's over 4 weeks, it would be enough for 4 weeks till the next DVD came out, and it would be enough for 4 weeks until the next one, and then maybe enough for 6. You know, like it would be like.
I think there's a reason why they're doing the Blu-rays as box sets rather than individuals nowadays.
I mean, they're just rinsing pockets, aren't they? Because I bet you most people who have those Blu-rays also have the classic DVDs. Like
exactly, that's why they're releasing them partially as box sets.
So that's why you got to then fill the gaps and do. They've already done box sets for all the new series, so now they got to do the individual DVDs. I think it will happen at some point. I see it happening. Maybe.
And what would they do for the two-parters? Because they have different names. Would like Party of the Ways and Bad Wolf be like individual? Or
I think they'd give it one or the other. I think they'd call it the Passing of the Ways, because it's like when they call like in the like the first Doctor stories, they all each had individual episode names, weren't they? Like the Daleks. It's only episode 2, I think, is called the Daleks, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, none of them is called the Daleks.
No, not the Daleks. No.
Yeah.
No, cool.
So yeah, same with like Marco Polo. All of them, they just gave them an overarching name. So either they could ask the original writer, "What would you call this two-parter? What would you call it?" Like you can either choose either episode name, or you could give it a different name. That would be interesting.
Be confusing.
I think then they just choose like the Passing of the Ways and like Human Nature, and you know, like that. Do it like that.
I think they could have both names in the title, you know, if they wanted to. Yeah, my question there was just, you know, would they release them as both, or would they have them like separated?
I wouldn't.
Technically different.
I wouldn't have them as separated because they lead straight one into the other. Though I would separate. I would separate Utopia and have Last of the Time Lords and The Sound of Drums is in their own one, because I think they're very separate stories.
I don't think so though, because like, you know, one does lead straight onto the other. You can't watch the other two without watching Utopia.
I don't know.
You'd miss an awful.
Sorry, you cut out there.
You'd miss a ton of context if you did that.
I guess
I don't think
so, but I don't know. I feel like
I've always thought of them as a free. To be honest, like I don't think you can. Like sure you can watch Utopia on its own, but like
would you say
that's also part of this.
Would you say Turn Left is part of Journey's End? Would you connect that one?
Not in the same way, because the events of it's a bit of a different. So Turn Left is, I think, more individual and stands alone more than Utopia does, I guess.
I guess with the Toclafane, actually, the whole, and he used all them.
Because Utopia leads one into the other, and I mean, yeah, sure, the ending of Turn Left does lead straight into the next episode, but the actual events of the episode don't inherently. It's kind of, but like, it's also does it is separate enough, and like kind of, yeah. You don't need to watch the following episodes, I guess. But no, you don't need to watch Turn Left to understand. Yeah, if you jumped in at Stolen Earth, you wouldn't need to watch Turn Left to necessarily understand everything.
I guess, yeah. Okay, I can
There's a couple more details, but like you'd have to watch Utopia before watching Sound of Drums to actually understand it.
Okay, well, I guess you could do Utopia in its own DVD, but sell it in a box set.
But that's what I was saying. You know, like rather than like having all these released individually, they should just release them as like half series as like one bigger box set, right?
But
so
with like the individual DVDs.
So like for series 1 you have like they'd be individial in the box set,
but in
like,
the box.
Like
okay. Now I understand what you mean. I thought you meant like just one like DVD with.
Oh no! I don't mean it like that. No, like yeah, just like you'd have a series 1 part 1 box set, and you'd have like rows to like
Dalek, I guess.
Yeah,
it's 13,
Dalek.
So that's
then
6. Yeah. Then the long game to Parting of Our Ways, because that would also be 6, because you'd put the 2-parters together. Oh, so actually, yeah, if you put the 2-parters together, Aliens of London, World War 3 would be 1 DVD. So they'd have rows, End of a World, Unquite Dead, World War 3. I would probably that's the better name. Then Dalek, that would be 1 box set, and then like Long Game, Father's Day, Empty Child, or The Doctor Dances. I think the Empty Child's probably the stronger name.
I mean, I think they could do both on the title. I think it just needs to be like a slash.
I guess, yeah, you could do the slash. That would work. But, yeah, I think it would be a nice novelty. Especially if you did it with, like, that whole 70th idea of...
It'd mean, especially if, like, for Series 1, that'd be the 3rd time owning all those episodes. Because I own the original DVDs. I own the Blu-ray Steelbook. And for some people, they bought the original Blu-rays. So it's like...
Crazy. Yeah, I have 2 versions as well. I got the Series 1 to 4 box set, DVD versions, and then I got the Steelbook because it's gorgeous. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this week's podcast. Yeah, comment below. What did you guys think of A Time Lord Victorious? Are you excited for it? Are you not? Are you interested in this whole Power of the Daleks special edition, or is it a big... from you guys? I'm gonna have to end up getting it just to see what the Highlanders shit's about. But I mean, I like the cover more, and I can somewhat justify it. Maybe I don't know. I might wait for the price to drop. I might see what people say first, then get it. Okay. Wait for the price to drop a bit, because 20 quid for a special edition's a bit like that. I mean,
we're talking about this with like Enemy of the World as well, I remember.
Oh, yeah. Big poo.
They never even did that Web of Fierce. I guess I'm waiting to get
for
back.
Episode 3, because some twat out there. I can't believe that. Who on earth would do that? Disgusting behavior. But yeah, also comment below what you think of Sven and the Scarf. That great, exciting new thing that we got. That's it. Oh, and do you think a broken up 4-parter for half an hour, 25-minute series would work in Doctor Who? Do you think that would be a concept that would hold its ground? Do you think they should only do it for like a 70th year if they did do it? You know, what do you guys think? And would you want the new Who stories with the classic DVD covers? There we go. The comment section is yours. Do what you will. Just don't be mean. Cool. Well, we'll see you next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.